Hey guys, Christina here, and today I have a look for you at what we read last month, which was August 2020. We are a homeschooling family with 5 children between the ages of 4 and 12. So we go through a lot of books, and we are happy that our library is now open. And we actually started school in the middle of August to kind of ease into it. So I have quite a few books to share. So the first book we read was Fu and Ching by Phyllis Ayers Sowers. We got this from the Good and the Beautiful library. It's a level 7. I'll show you what it looks like inside. There's a few little drawings. This is an interesting book. It talks about young orphans in a remote Chinese village and what their life was like. It's set in the mid-1800s. I don't know about this book. I think it definitely shows what kind of life was like in small villages and beliefs that were held. But it wasn't my favorite. The kids said it was okay. Well, there we go. Then we moved on to Escape to Freedom. This is by Ruth Fosdick Jones. We got it from the Good and the Beautiful again. It's a level 8 for them. This is what it looks like inside. This is a book that we all really enjoyed. It talked about slavery and about getting up to Canada and the Underground Railroad in a way that was there were some difficult things in it, but it was nothing I had to edit out for my children, so I felt like it was very age appropriate. And it was a good story. It has action in it if you have boys or girls who really like action, so we enjoyed that one. And then we read this one here, My Name is Sally Littlesong by Brenda Woods. And this one is Sally Harrison and her family are slaves in a plantation in Georgia, and then they find out that their master is gonna sell their daughter, and so they decide to run away. And they actually join with a group of Native Americans. They head south instead of north. And so it's a really interesting story. It's very simple, but it does explain some of the harsh lives that people had, the slaves had, and some of the struggles, as well as some of the struggles First Nations had as well, or Native Americans. I really liked it. I think it's a good book. It's a pretty quick read, like it's pretty big printing. So definitely one I would recommend if you're doing this part of history, you want a book that goes along with that. And then we moved into Calico Bush by Rachel Field. We're currently reading this one, so we're not done yet. It's about a girl who is orphaned, Marguerite Ladeau, and she becomes a bound out girl or a servant girl to a family. So I'll share next month what we thought of this one when we finish it. Then moving on to audiobooks. So we listened to the second book by Jonathan Rogers, The Secret of the Swamp King. It was a good story. I shared last month that I didn't enjoy the first book, Bark the Bog Owl, that much, but I liked the second book and I found it more enjoyable, and it was a good story. It's pretty short, it's funny. My family, everyone really enjoyed it. Then we moved on to Florence Nightingale by Laura Richards. This was an interesting one. It's about Florence Nightingale, obviously. It went along with our history, and about, it's called The Angel of Crimea, or Crimea. I really enjoyed it. It's the kind of book that I like. My family, they enjoyed it. They found it interesting, but my husband and some of the kids really didn't like how it kind of went off. Like, it talked directly to the reader sometimes, which they supposed to be children, and American children at that. And sometimes it talked about just kind of background things that didn't really have a tie into the story. So they weren't big fans of that, but overall it was interesting. A little dry maybe, so you kind of have to, I guess, enjoy history a lot to listen to it. Then we moved on to the last book by Jonathan Rogers, The Way of the Wilder King. And this was probably my favorite book out of all of them. Again, it's quite short, it's funny, it's good, it has a good story to it. So definitely I think the series got better as it went along. The ending was kind of abrupt though. That was a little disappointing. I'm wondering if maybe there's gonna be more books, but our whole family enjoyed listening to that one together. So then, moving on to our kids. So my 12-year-old finished off Chronicles of Narnia series, The Last Battle. That book there. He read a number of Percy Jackson books and comic books. My kids all love comics. And then to go along with our Story of the World, all my boys went through this one. My daughter did too, she had to look through. It's a Thomas Edison and the Light Bulb. It's a graphic library one. They also all went through this one here. You Wouldn't Want to Be a Nurse During the American Civil War A job that's not for the squeamish. And my boys read through and my daughter had a look through. They like these books quite a bit. So then moving on to my 11-year-old. He read a lot of Pokemon and comic books. And then he read this one here, The Mooring Tree. This is The Good and the Beautiful, level 7. It says they had planned, Silas Ware and his son Jason had planned to sail to the New World together to claim the land granted to them in the Jamestown settlement, but when the father is wrongfully imprisoned, young Jason must embark on the long and lonely journey without him. And it goes on a little bit more. He said it was good, that he enjoyed it. So that's that book there. And then he is currently working on this one here, Thomas Edison, Inspiration and Hard Work by Janet and Jeff Benj. It's from the Heroes of History series. He's read a few of these and liked them, so he's reading that one right now. My 9-year-old, again, the same comics, Pokemon, these books here. And then he's really into the Hardy Boys, so he read a few of the Hardy Boys books this month. So then my daughter, who is 7, she has been working on this book here, Mommy's in the Morning, part of the Magic Treehouse series. She reads a lot of like early readers and stuff books too. And she had this one here. This is a reading level 2, Thomas Edison, Lighting the Way. Again, to go with our history. And then me. So I read this book here, Grandma Gatewood's Walk, the inspiring story of the woman who saved the Appalachian Trail. And it's by Ben Montgomery. It's quite a thick book. I'll show you inside. There's a few pictures. This was really interesting. I had never heard of Emma Gatewood before. I guess maybe because I'm not American, I don't know. But it was really interesting to read about her, very inspiring. She had a hard life. She was mother to 11. She was an abused woman, and just amazing how she got through everything, and then everything she did later in her life, because she went to hike the Appalachian Trail. I want to say she was in her 60s the first time. I think she was in her 60s. Like, that's crazy, you know? So that was definitely a good book. I really enjoyed it. My 12-year-old is now asked to read it, so he's gonna have a read about it. Just an inspiring woman, an interesting part of American history. It kind of ties in different things that were happening at different times, different points in history in the US, and part of the world, which was pretty cool. So that's everything that we read last month. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books or what you're currently reading, because I love to get suggestions. And otherwise, I hope this finds you having a great day. Take care.